Now, France celebrates its national holiday today, celebrating the taking of the Bastille in 1789 that kickstarted the French Revolution. As ever, it is being marked by a massive military parade that starts at 10 a.m. local time here in Paris. The focus this year is France's rearmaments and support for Ukraine. 500 coalition troops, including some from the Ukrainian military, will take part in the parade. It's also the last parade that will be presided over by Emmanuel Macron, who steps down next year. And for more on today's Bastille Day military parade, we can go once again to France 24's Luke Shrago, who's on the ground at the Champs Elysees in central Paris. Luke, what can we expect to see at the parade later today?
Well, here at Paris's Place de l'Étoile, the Arc de Triomphe on one side of me, the Champs Elysees stretching away in the distance. It's one of the biggest days in the French calendar, the Bastille Day military parade. Now, if ordinarily this might be a celebration of French values and freedoms, this year it's very much a message that's aimed at France's potential adversaries. Very much coming at a time of deep geopolitical tensions, the ongoing war in Ukraine. And we have I think the largest number of foreign heads of state and government who've been invited, particularly from countries that are part of the coalition of the willing for supporting Ukraine militarily. Now, they've got nations from across NATO and much of Europe being represented, with over 24 of them being here, around about 35 nations turning out in support. And indeed, for the troops taking part, the biggest number ever, around about 6,686 of them, 315 vehicles, 98 aircraft, 33 helicopters, and 193 horses. Those are the figures that we have been given. More than any other year, 15% more troops and almost a third more vehicles and aircraft, really trying to send a message that France is strong, that it is able to defend its allies and stand behind them, protecting its ideals and values. And not to mention, of course, the 500 troops from those coalition countries that are also part of this parade, underlining just how important that is. Emmanuel Macron himself saying it, that peace was the goal, but that France wasn't going to shirk its responsibilities. It would cherish freedom, but it would also fight for it and pay the price in blood if it had to.
Now, this year's parade is noteworthy in it being Emmanuel Macron's last one before he leaves the Élysée Palace next year. How has Emmanuel Macron's relationship with the parade and with France's military been during his 9 years in office?
Well, Emmanuel Macron hasn't always had a smooth sailing in terms of a relationship with the military. It was a little bit bumpy at the beginning of his first term back in 2017. But if he didn't make it a centerpiece of his time in office, he certainly made sure that it was very important. He's been consistently boosting funding that has been going to the military. It started out with an annual military budget of about 32 billion euros. Now, by the end of the decade, that will have more than doubled. Emmanuel Macron very much over his 2 terms, making it a point of case to boost the funding, to put French defence industries at the centre of European rearmament and defence. And now that was something that went almost into overdrive following the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It really became an important matter, taking on deep significance. Now, trying to put that at the heart of Europe, boosting with the funding with new laws, the military programming law, which went through only earlier this year, France finds itself a little bit overstretched. It's always had a medium-sized military, one that they're now trying to change. They're bringing in reservists, they're boosting those forces, they're trying to get around about 3,000 in over the next year or so. Certainly to boost the missions that they currently have underway. They're in Eastern Europe, on Europe's eastern flank. They have missions in the Baltic, in the North Atlantic, and of course the Middle East. But it's really a matter of turning what was once a force, along with many Western armies in the wake of the Cold War, that had been more directed towards peacekeeping missions and smaller, more technical missions, to transform it into forces that are capable of solid defence and capable of handling the outbreak of a full-scale war. Now, it may well be likely that Emmanuel Macron's time in office will be seen as a turning point for the military when Europe woke up and realised that it would need to fight its own battles.
Thank you very much for that, Luke Shrago, who will be reporting throughout the morning for us from the Bastille Day military parade in Paris. And remind you that coming up at 10 a.m. Paris time, we will have a special edition bringing you live coverage of that parade from the Champs Elysees.